Hello everybody, this is Segment Raw. So I am back with another video. So I decided to go ahead and do a live stream of this video. I don't know how long it's going to be. I am going to be doing a couple things while I live stream, so please pardon me. I'm actually ordering pizza while I live stream. And all that stuff. And also, if you see me getting up, oh, never mind, you don't have to. That is because I'm currently going to be, doing my thing that I like to do on a daily basis. Okay, so once again, welcome everybody. Looks like I got two people watching. I think one of them might be YouTube. So we're going to talk about Greco-Egyptian religion because I was watching. Oh, hi, hello there, sugar baby. Hello there, welcome to my stream. Looks like YouTube left. So we're talking about Greco-Egyptian religion. I think is a really interesting topic to talk about in this video, because I think that, oh, okay, it's back. So the reason I'm talking about Greco-Egyptian religion is because Greco-Egyptian period of time when Alexander the Great conquered Egypt and saved the Egyptians from the evil Persian Empire, and the Greeks and the Persians had a really nasty past. The Greeks were able to drive the Persians back to Persia, and later on down the road, Alexander the Great came around, defeated the Persian Empire, destroyed the empire, and of course, in the process, Hellenized probably all of what used to be the Persian Empire. And then when you go into Egypt, they finally drive the last of the Persians out and everything. So what Alexander the Great did is when he was declared the son of Zeus Amun. Now, wait. They're equating Zeus with the god Amun. Okay? Two separate deities are being blended together to form one composite deity, Zeus Amun. Later on, it was the Serapis, which was like I think it was Zeus, Hades, and Osiris. I don't know. I have to look that up. But he was declared the son of Zeus Amun, and he was crowned Pharaoh of Egypt. But he did not stay as ruler of Egypt. He would die, of course, and his bestie friend, Ptolemy, became Pharaoh of Egypt. So when we talk about Greco-Egyptian religion or Greco-Egyptian polytheism, it is polytheism. It is a polytheistic path. By the way, if you hear kind of like an echoing, it's the room. I don't have enough shit in my room. By the way, I probably am not going. This video will probably be declared bad for all audiences, but I don't really care. At this point, I don't care if I get a freaking email from YouTube saying, someone strike your video. I don't care. But because it's an important topic to talk about. So while I'm talking about this, I'm actually going to order my pizza. So anyways, when we talk about Greco-Egyptian religion, we're talking about a period of time that you have your cometics like the House of Nature that doesn't even acknowledge that this was actually a thing. It's really stupid. It really is. Oh, I still have $4.06 in my, okay. So hold on a second, I gotta do this. Transfer to for checking. I'm gonna just put like $30. Because I'm ordering some pizza. because I need something for the ritual for tonight. So, anyways, okay. Why would it be strike? And what pizza are you getting? I'm new to this. Okay. I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry. Sugar Baby, I'm ordering from Domino's and I'm getting a Hawaiian, like a combination with like Hawaiian pineapples and stuff. A strike basically, okay, so let me explain this, okay? So what happened was I did some paint, I paint my statues. And apparently I said some colorful language and my video got flagged. So I hope that helps answer your question. I'm ordering from Domino's. I'm getting a large pizza, and I'm also getting myself a 2-liter bottle of Sprite. So yes. So says I'm new to the subject and religion. So are you talking about Greco-Egyptian religion? Are you talking about Hermeticism? Are you talking about Hellenism? Just a thought. Just a question I like to put out there. So anyways, so Ptolemy became the pharaoh of Egypt and Hellenism. Okay. So you have Hellenism and you have Hellenic and you have Hellenism, or it might be the opposite way. So when we talk about so there's Hellenic and there's Hellenistic. So Hellenic is considered before Alexander the Great, and then Hellenistic goes like further in, then goes into the Roman Empire, and then Christianity and all that type of stuff. A lot of people say we still live in a Hellenistic society because what Alexander the Great did when he he defeated the Persians and all this stuff, is he did something that Romans just could not think about doing, and that is respecting other cultures. So Alexander the Great was a great respecter of culture. So when he conquered Egypt, he was seen to the Egyptians as this god, basically. So he had all these men, and they rode into Egypt, and they kicked the Persians out. So he founded the port city of Alexandria, and Alexandria later on became a very powerful port. You had the Library of Alexandria. You had I haven't changed out my work uniform, if you guys want to know. So you had a lot of Hellenic elements that got into Egypt. And in the book, now there's I'm reading from this code. It's called Greco-Egyptian Religious Perils. Egyptian gods with Greek names in Herodotus and votive statuary by Lucas Livingston, who actually did this paper in 2002. So it was June 7th, 2002. And so it's throughout much of Book 2 of his histories, Herodotus frequently draws comparison between Egyptian and Greek deities and goes so far as to identify the Egyptian gods with Greek counterparts. So there was like the Theban Zeus. Says Herodotus makes it abundantly clear that Zeus is known as Amun among the Egyptians. There's also this really weird myth in which Dionysus gets cut up into like pieces, which is weird. Let's see here. It's really it's kind of weird. You're looking at these Hellenic deities, and they have suddenly these new myths that were not even there, like in 1127 BC. So like, for instance, is let's see here. Let's see here. Okay. Which is weird. So let's see here. Okay, so the Ethiopians, the inhabitants, worship Zeus and Dionysos, alone of the gods, holding them in great honor. Herodotus additionally believes that the Greeks incorporated the religious traditions of other foreign cultures. As we already seen, Herodotus claims that the names of all the gods had been known in Egypt from the beginning of time, with the exception of Poseidon and the Dioscorea, also including Hera, Hestia, Themis, the Graces, and the Nereids. Um, Yeah, so apparently, let's see here. So there's the myth about Salome. She basically, so no, so here's it. Here it is. So with Salome, who is the mother of Dionysos. So Hera, being her atypical jealous self, she goes down there and she disguises herself as an old woman, and she basically convinces Salome to do the dumbest thing you could possibly ever do, and that is to see to I want you to force Zeus to prove that he happens to be freaking Zeus. So Salamine does that, and Zeus is not sure if Salamine can actually stand his divine form. He probably knows she can't, but, like Bethel's eyelids just put it into sleep. And he does it, and she evaporates. At least that's what I think happens to mortals. They evaporate. And suddenly the baby is kind of like in the air for like a half a little millisecond and drops to the floor, or Zeus catches the baby and then sews the baby into his thigh. And trust me, it must have been really uncomfortable with that thing. So basically, Dionysos grows into it becomes a temporary womb. Do not ask me how that worked, because it doesn't work, but it's the myth, so it naturally works. Because we're talking about Zeus. Zeus can do everything, it seems. So yeah, so and there was this really crazy one in which it's really weird. Hera goes and convinces the Titans. I don't understand how in the world she freaking did this, but to entertain Dionysos, and then Dionysos catches his little mirror, sees his cute little self, and the Titans attack him. And they cut him up in little bitty pieces. And that's how Dionysos got equated with Osiris, or Osir, if you're Hellenic. So it's this crazy additional myths that the Greeks did, and this is all part of the Hellenic influence in Greece, Hellenic influence in Egyptian religion. So this really, I did a video about people ignoring history, like ignoring, yeah, Cleopatra didn't exist. She didn't exist at all. Wow. Okay, so there is an entire underwater city that used to be above the water that was around during the time of Cleopatra and during the Christian era that didn't really exist during that time, or something to that strange thing. And these are people that are members of the House of Necher that does this nonsense where they go, we're going to ignore Alexander the Great. He didn't come to Egypt. He was over there in Little Greece. The thing was, the Greeks were in love with the Egyptians, just as much as the Romans ended up just having this big love affair with the Greeks. In fact, if you were a slave and you were Greek and you had education, you were treated so much better, because that's how much in love the Romans were. Just like I was in love with the blood of Zeus, which, by the way, is a kick-ass show. So yeah. So in other ways, the Egyptians' method of celebrating the feast of Dionysos or Osiris is much the same way as the Greek, except the Egyptians had no choric dance. Instead of the phallus, the penis, they have puppets around 18 inches high. The genitalia of these figures are made almost as big as the rest of the bodies. Okay, Can we please just imagine that for like 20 seconds? I'm gonna close my eyes and just imagine these puppets with big old freaking penises. Just imagine that for like 5 seconds. Okay, I've imagined it. It must have been a hoot and holler of a type of festival. So, so if you read it, if you like, you ask a question on their server, what is your opinion about the Greco-Egyptian period when the Ptolemaic, or I know I'm butchering the name, the Ptolemies were in power from, I think it was 3 something BC to 30 BC. I don't have my phone on me because it's currently being recharged. I meant TV show. Okay. Is it The Blood of Zeus? I saw it and was scared to watch I didn't want to watch another Bash Zeus episode for an hour. Also, thank you for helping me learn. No problem. I meant TV show. It actually does not, actually, in all honesty, Zeus is not bashed more than he usually is. Herod basically does all the bashing, including the throwing rocks at him and just like, well, you shouldn't have slept with that whore, like the girl's dead, okay? Like, you freaking got her son to kill his own mother. He committed parental-cide. I mean, seriously. It's not a Bash Zeus episode. It's more of like Zeus brings his son to Mount Olympus to train him so that he can fulfill his destiny, which I thought was really cool. No, it wasn't Bash Zeus. It was atypical. Hera got pissed off at Zeus and started the whole dang freaking shitstorm that usually ended up really bad for her. By the way, don't promise the giants Poseidon's realm when Poseidon can fucking hear you, because he don't care that you're his sister. He's going to kick your ass. That is exactly what he's going to do. And wow, there goes. So yeah. But it is a really good episode, a really good show, and I really want to see Heron's further adventures and all that type of stuff. So I really do hope he ends up becoming a king and becoming this great ruler, because obviously Greece needs a ruler that doesn't treat their people like shit. So when we go and we talk about this, when you're trying to convince Comedics that the Greco-Egyptian period happened, they kind of go, no, it didn't happen. And I actually got an explanation to why the House of Nature doesn't actually actively recognize the Greco-Egyptian period when the Greeks ruled Egypt. It's because they so-called polluted the Egyptian rituals and the Egyptian gods and all the type of stuff. And one of the things is I like both the Egyptians and the Greek gods. I really do like them both. In fact, I have statues of both pantheons. I even got a big ass statue of Anubis. But religions combine all the time. Yes, they do. They do. Hellenists don't ignore that the Greco-Egyptian period happened. In fact, they say, yes, it happened. But you're talking about a bunch of freaking idiots that want to ignore a giant chunk of history. There is a papyrus from the Greco-Egyptian period. There's a program that came out a couple years ago where basically it was these twins, and they became the priestesses of the Apis bull, and their mother ended up like stealing all of their money, which was like, okay, I want to like slap this bitch, okay? Send her down to the fiery realms of the underworld where she can be like swallowed by Ammit. you get really mad at the mother. She is so greedy for money. She's so greedy for money. She had her own dang freaking husband killed. It's entitled The Egyptians, and they have several, like they have like Murder in the Temple, and they have, of course, The Twins, which takes place during the Greco-Egyptian period. Yeah, the period of time that Egyptologists do not ignore happened, but Comedics do. Um, yeah. So they talk about votive offerings that were found, that were dedicated to a Greek deity, but they were found in an Egyptian temple, which was interesting. Um, so it's interesting. It says Cephalic Dionysos, known especially through the later compilation called the Raspberries. In this cosmology, Zeus rapes his mother Rhea Demeter. Okay, all right, I'm going to stop there for a second. Okay, you raped your mother. You raped your fucking mother. Okay, you raped Rhea Demeter. I don't know how they got together, and she gave birth to Persephone, who, I'm going to read this to you. This is weird. So it says here, then whom he rapes in turn in the form of a serpent and sires Dionysos. To the child Dionysos, Zeus then bequeaths the rule of the world and places him on his throne. Herod then sends the Titans to distract the child with these little toys. And then, of course, ends up is the Titans consume the body of Dionysos, save the heart, which is hidden and spared. Zeus hurls a thunderbolt, destroy the murderers. From their charred remains rises the race of men, and from the collected remains of Dionysos, the god is reassembled and reborn. Oh, I'm sorry, but that is just, he freaking rapes his own mother. He rapes his daughter. He puts Dionysos on his throne, who ends up getting eaten by the Titans. Okay. It's official. It's official. Greco-Egyptian mythology makes no fucking sense. It doesn't. Oh, seriously? Oh my fucking god, really? I know this video is going to be inappropriate for all audiences. I don't give a shit. I'm just thinking, what the? Who comes up with these fucking myths? Oh, God. Oh, lords. So if you are a Greco-Egyptian polytheist, you are considered a Reconstructionist. I don't give a shit if the fucking Comedics don't like it. You are practicing a Reconstructionist religion. You're a polytheist. You're not a Wiccan. You're a... So, back to the Alexander the Great. So, it says, what? How is Dionysus revived? Or is... I don't fucking know. I don't know. I'm reading this from Herodotus. It's like, it's a paper that this olive guy brought out in 2002. It's insane. I don't know. I know it's I think it's when the Greeks were equating their gods with the Egyptian gods, and they decided to fuck up with the myths. That's why it's just the guy has access to books I wish I had access to. I don't have access to the books that he probably has access to. So it's like, what the fuck? Really? So, yeah, so it's like, this is kind of like, I think, how myths evolve, but this is why, like, Hellenism is separate from Greco-Egyptian polytheism, which is why it's also separate from Kemeticism, because Kemeticism will have their own myths that have been unchanged. The Hellenists will have their own myths that have been unchanged. But then when you have two cultures coming together, they equate their gods with the Egyptian gods, and they totally create these whole new myths. Herodotus wrote this shit. He wrote this shit. So he's at fault to why your brain is not working right now. It's what you're talking about now. It says it's Herodotus. He just fucks up with your brain. This is why you go and have like 100 books on Hellenism, and you read Herodotus and you go, what the fuck did I just read? I don't know what I fucking read. Herodotus is considered an important historian. Everyone likes Herodotus, it seems. I don't know why you like Herodotus, but okay. But it's like, oh my fucking God, my brain just goes blank with it. So it says here, the Greek assimilation of Egyptian religion. Traces of archaic and classical Greek involvement in Egyptian religious institutions and practice can be gathered from various Egyptian and Greek sites throughout the Nile Valley and Delta. So there are Greek sites. So basically, let's see here. Let me see if I got this correct here. I don't want to steer Sugar Baby wrong here. So you have the ancient Egyptian name, and then the Greeks come around and they change it and they basically Greekify it. And then the Arabs come along and they do it. But no, let me take that back. It has the Kemetic one, and then it gets Hellenized, and you have the Greek name. And then the Christians come along and they can't stand the pagan name, so they change it to something else. Then the Arabs come along and they can't stand the Christian name for it, so they freaking change it. So one site can have 4 different name changes, which is insane. Everything about the Greek religion assimilate into the Egyptian religion and becoming its own thing is insane. So yeah, it's weird. So it says here, okay, so all right. So it says here, valuable evidence for a Greek identification with and participation in Egyptian religion can be gathered from a number of bronze vaulted figures bearing Greek dedicatory inscriptions discovered in Lower Egypt, which is pretty cool. I like Greek votive offerings, Greek bronze votive offerings, because they can tell you a great deal about which deity that the temple was dedicated to. It can tell you a lot about the kinds of people that gave these votive offerings. Votive offerings have been found in every freaking culture that was polytheistic. You have it in the heathen cultures. You have it in the Celtic cultures. You have it in the Roman cultures. You have it, which, by the way, my ancestors were Italian. My father was full-blooded Italian, which is why I am drawn to Mediterranean religions like Hellenism, all that. Okay. Then it says here, okay, so one example is that of Isis with baby Horus type, very familiar to ancient Egypt, although the provenance of this statue is unknown. So it says here, it dates to 500 BCE, and it says here the inscription. So it was found dedicated at a nearby Egyptian temple. You go, like you would go to the Catholic Church and get some holy water. The inscription was then, no doubt, made in order for the worshiper, for it reads, Pythermos, son of Niloson, offering me a statue of Isis. The fact that the inscription is in Greek obviously suggests that a Greek traveler or had visited and made offerings at a Egyptian temple. Okay. Another bronze votive example is a small statue of the Apis bull, rendered in purely traditional Egyptian style, while bearing a distinctive Greek inscription to the god Panipa. The style of the inscription suggests a date between 500 to 450 BCE, and the worshipper was not Ion, but possibly Alatonin or possibly Doran. The exact find spot is on Pacific. So you basically had Greeks that would come to Egypt, and they would have these votive offerings inscribed, and it would be in Greek. So you see proof that when the Greeks came to Egypt, they actually gave offerings to the Egyptian gods and all that. So that is pretty interesting. Okay. Okay, so let's see here. All right, so I'm going to just scroll down to, so it says here, the literary evidence clearly reveals that the Greeks identified their gods and goddesses with those of other cultures, while the names, appearances, and cultic practices may have dramatically differed. Okay, so here's the equivalent. So Hephaestus. So I'm actually going to switch it around here a little bit. So we're going to do the Greek deity, and then we're going to do the Egyptian deity that's associated with that Greek deity. So you have Hephaestus, god of the forge. He was associated with the god Ptah. Apollo was associated with the god Horus. Dionysos was associated with the god Osiris. Demeter or Io was associated with the goddess Isis. No, not the terrorist group. So Typhon was associated with Set and Apophis. Artemis was associated with Bast. Athena was associated with Neith. Zeus with Amun. Aphrodite with Hathor. Heracles with Koshnu. Pan with men. And Epaphus with Apis. And then, of course, they have all of these sources. It says, I am not white, so it sucks that I have to write a 5-page essay on why I'm trying to practice religion. So were Greeks soft polytheists? No, they actually were not. They were actually hard polytheists. And what I mean by hard polytheists, they actually did believe that their gods were separate, distinct individual beings. However, they equated their gods with other cultures' gods, but the difference is, when you were in Greece, you had temples to the Greek gods. If you were a Greek traveler to, say, Egypt during the time of the Ptolemies, there probably were shrines and other places that you had the composite. So it's the Hellenizing of the Egyptian religion and people. You're introducing things to them like coinage. Before the Greeks invaded Egypt and kicked the Persians out, the Egyptians did not trade in coinage. They basically, everything was barter. But when the Ptolemies came along and they basically Greekified the Egyptian religion and culture, they introduced coins, which introduced the concept of greed, which is why you get that woman that had her husband killed. Also, there's a book that I read a couple years ago. It's I think it was titled Voyage of the Two Lands or something like that. you have to give somebody nearly $100 for the book. Amazon is actually allowing the book to be sold for nearly $100, which it's good. But he goes in details about like how the Christians destroyed the temples and all that type of stuff. And he also talks a great deal about the Greco-Egyptian culture and religion and all that. So if you're drawn to both the Egyptian and Greek gods, and you buy the books and all the type of stuff, and you learn from it, you can actually practice Greco-Egyptian polytheism, because it is a polytheistic religion. Also, the word soft polytheism or polytheist is actually a more modern term. For example, is in religions like Wicca, which is huge, they're known as soft polytheists. They believe that all gods and goddesses, all gods are one god and all goddesses are one goddess. Oh, I see that you for, oh, no problem. So like for instance there's no wall between the different pantheons at all. So like for instance so for instance is when you are talking about Aphrodite, they will say, well, she's the same as Hathor. Okay, so, or she's the same as a number of other love deities. Okay, so there's no actual desire to actually do research about these different gods and goddesses to make sure that if you're blending a god from one culture, it's not going to clash with the goddess of another culture. So that is soft polytheism. All gods are one god, all goddesses are one goddess. They're two halves of a whole. So that is the thing that really kind of gets me. But even though the Greeks were classified as hard polytheists, they still look for similarities with their gods with other cultures' gods. Like for instance, the Romans equated Thor with some deity. I would think that he would equate it with like Zeus because of the thunder, but no, it was equated with another deity. I think it might have been. See here, I'm trying to think. Oh, I forgot which deity was which one was associated. Okay, so I'm Bill. If you guys are kind of like wondering what I'm doing, I'm sort of like, okay, all right. So anyways, so it's kind of weird if you look at it. If you don't know why I'm so distracted, I'm busy ordering this pizza. Okay, we'll go down this coupon. Drinks. I'm just ordering my pizza here because I want to have okay. But yeah, so the Romans did it big time. The Romans would go up there and they would conquer other civilizations. Unlike Alexander the Great, there was no respect for that culture's gods. In fact, they absolutely committed cultural genocide when they decimated the Druids. But when we talk about Greco-Roman, not Greco-Roman, uh, Greco-Egyptian polytheism, that seems to be a sore spot for a lot of people that are in Comedicism, because they view the Greeks as these foreigners that came in and basically changed everything about Egyptian religion. It was no longer pure; it was polluted or whatever. So if you have somebody who's practicing like Greco-Egyptian polytheism, Comedics will say, "Oh no, that's not how it was done back then." But if you talk to somebody who is Hellenic, they probably will have a different view of this. So, for instance, like on my altar, I've got two. I got one to Osiris and Isis, which is separate. That's my own thing I like to do. Um, but on my main altar, I have Anubis, I have Hathor, I have Osiris, I have not Osiris, I have Hathor, I have Amun, which is equated with Zeus, I've got Theseus, I've got most of the entire pantheon. The only one that I don't have is Dionysos. Um, but I'm actually purchasing him next week. So I'm gonna do that to like hurry it up delivery. It says here, I just left Wicca and couldn't do that soft. I know. I totally agree. Wicca actually does not actually have any form of structure. I used to be Wiccan, I know. Don't get me wrong, I do respect Wiccans because they fucking go through shit that we should not be in America. Okay, they go through shit. But they don't have structure, and there's just like they hide child molesters and rapists. This is stuff I'm discovering from other Wiccans, which is not good. But yeah, so Hellenism definitely has structure. Comedicism definitely has structure. Greco-Egyptian polytheism definitely has structure. So if you're taught like heathenism has structure, but they kind of are basing on half of the actual historical thing and half of we're making this up as we go. So, and then of course they have their own problem with the the racists and all that stuff that I do really feel for them. And I do. I mean, I feel bad for them immensely. Okay, I'm gonna donate Dame Freaking to St. Jude's. Because hey, you never know. You never know. Okay, how much are they gonna get out of me? How much are they gonna get out of me? Because I took out 30. I'm hungry. I need food in me. Okay. Cool. But yeah, so okay. Okay. So yeah. Just trying to find my card. Where did my card go? Yeah, so pardon me guys, I'm looking for my card. Alright, I'm just gonna wait till I'm done with this stream. Yeah. So I understand why you want more structure. Hold on one second. I'm trying to find my card. Oh, here it is. Yeah, so like I said, I understand the need for more structure, and definitely you will find that in these religions. Um, I know it's kind of bizarre to see me ordering pizza while I'm doing a streaming thing. I know I'm a bizarre person. But also, I do it for my brother because he gets home and he hasn't eaten in like a couple hours. So I do feel bad for him because um, that kid works so hard. He does. He works so hard. You know, the lighting here sucks my major butt. I'm just going to take a educated guess here. But yeah. Hope this worked. This works. Hey, when they do this. All right, cool. All right. So, okay, so I ordered the pizza. So anyway, so that's what I'm saying. So yeah, so yeah, so Hellenism has structure in it, and what I mean by that is that even though they will acknowledge that there is a ton of information about Greek religion and what offerings were given to the gods and what incense was burned and everything like that, they will tell you that a big chunk of Greek religion is missing because the church went around and they was purging libraries. Libraries, they were killing off the priesthood. A lot of the priesthood converted to Christianity so that they would be able to enjoy the perks of tax breaks. I don't really think a lot of them converted because they generally believed in Christ. I think it was more for the tax breaks than anything. Also, it was becoming increasingly difficult to be a pagan in the Roman Empire. Um, they destroyed the statue of the Serapis. Let's see here. Just get here. Okay. So it says here, the Serapis it's a Greco-Egyptian deity. The cult of Serapis was pushed forward during the 3rd century BC on the orders of the Greek pharaoh Ptolemy the First, Soter of the Ptolemaic kingdom in Egypt as a means of unifying the Greek and Egyptians in his realm. Um, okay, so the Serapis continued to increase in popularity during the Roman Empire, often replacing Osiris as a consort of Isis in temples outside Egypt. So it was okay. So it was a Sakranic deity derived from the worship of the Egyptian god Osiris and Apis. Also gained attributes of other deities such as Hades, Demeter, and Dionysos. Um, see here. Okay. So, yeah, so it was a composite um of different deities. Um yeah. So, yeah. Um, but yeah, so there was a big temple to Serapis that was torn down. And then it said that it actually survived up until when Theodosia suppressed all forms of paganism, which I don't really believe he did or successfully did, because there's people that would convert and they would still be worshiping their old gods at home, but they were very, very careful about not being caught. Especially men. Men were able to get away with it than more than women were. Um, but yeah, so Greco-Egyptian paganism, they do have books out there. Um, Here's okay. So I'm going to just give a couple his sources. So Walter Burkirk's Greek Religion, translated by John Raffin, Cambridge, Harvard University Press, 1985. F.W. von Bissing, in Nalcractus, was from 1951. You have a book by William D. I'll spell his last name, Coulson, Ancient Nalcracus, from 1996. It's Oxford Oxbrow Books. They have Dionysos Slain, which would be talking about his connection with Osiris, from Marcel. I'll spell the last name D-E-I. Sorry, Detienne. Then you have from Sir Ernest Gardner, the same title, Naucratis Part 2, the Egyptian Exploration Society, London, in 1888. The Order of Gods in Greece and Egypt, according to Herodotus, Journal of Hellenic Studies, by Gawain J. Griffiths. The Dictionary of Classical Mythology, translated by A.R. Maxwell, Oxford Blackwell Publishers, in 1996, by Peri Grimal. The Histories, translated, I can't pronounce it, Herodotus, the Histories, Greek Gods and Foreign Gods in Herodotus, by University of California Publications in Classical Pathology, by Ivan M. Linforth. What I'm actually going to do is, okay, so I'm actually going to okay, so I am going to actually, Sugar Baby, I'm actually going to give you something. So we'll just paste. Okay. So, enter. Did that even work? All right. Oh, hold on a second. It went over. All right. So I'm going to delete that. Delete. Hold on. Can I possibly do this? All right. So we're just. One second. All right. Let's see. Okay. All right. So, I'm going to go ahead and give you a list of books. Hopefully that will help you out. Um, so, see here. Right. Okay, so the first one is Walter Burkhart's Greek Religion, and then I also sent you F.W. Vaughn's that title there. Let me see here. So I'm just going to send you a bunch of like different authors. So that way. You'll have them. So. I don't need that. Right. See, I'm just copying and pasting. So. So yeah, I'm just copying and pasting here. Let's see. All right, I'm gonna get rid of that. Okay, apparently they count that as a space. Let's see. Here. All right. Just want to send you a bunch of stuff. It's kind of weird when you're trying to send these that somehow you always end up. If I read them, I heard Walter was so dry. How do you recommend I read it? A little bit at a time. A little bit at a time. Yeah, definitely a little bit at a time. But yeah, I mean, I love history too. I do. This is what I really like the Greco-Egyptian period the best because, yeah, I'm actually going to give you I'm not going to give you the last one because it's like it looks like it's in French, and unless you are good at reading French, you can't read French. So I'm kind of paying attention to my order right now. But yeah, so Yeah, so check out those books. Don't buy them all in one go because some of those books are pretty expensive. As far as I know, anything that comes from the 1800s is probably pretty expensive. Um, but yeah, so my biggest complaint I have about comedics when they encounter somebody who practices Greco-Egyptian polytheism is that it is not a valid form of polytheism. Um, Same thing with like Afrocentric comedics who actually believe that their religion is closed when it is not. No, I can't even pass a high school Spanish. Thank you so much. I hope your pizza. No problem. Thanks. I appreciate it. I'm actually giving an offering to Agathos. I give an offering to Agathos Damon. Sorry, let me read back the fact. Hestia Bastet, um, Terawant, Bess. These are household deities. They're both connected with Greek and Egyptian. And I also give an offering to. They're known as Aku, which are your dead ancestors. And this week is really big on ancestor offering because of the fact that it's getting close to like Halloween, and Wiccans celebrate Samhain. Of course, you know that because you used to be Wiccan. Um, but yeah, so I definitely give to my household deities like as I said, Hestia, Bast, Terawant, Bess, which is the dwarf god, and I also give offerings to my ancestors because they're important. You may not, a lot of people may not like their ancestors, but they're important. And I also give the last bit of my offering to Agathos Daemon. So you can blend both of those in and everything. But I'm definitely going to be buying some more. I'm definitely going to buy books that are geared towards that period of time, which I think is important. But yeah, so let me see where my thing's at. Okay. All right, so I'm going to end it here. I thank Sugar Baby for coming on and having that conversation with me. My pizza is going to be good. My pizza is going to be really good. Um, but I got to turn my phone on because he's probably going to give me a call, or she's going to give me a call. So thank you everybody for watching. I will have that ritual video up as soon as my food arrives and everything. So until next time, may the gods watch over you. Bye. And I'll see you around. Bye.